Now, shops and services may have to be forced to accept cash in the future to help protect vulnerable people who rely on it. That is according to a report by a committee of MPs. Here in the UK, we are using cash less and less. In 2013, around half of payments were made in cash. 10 years later, it was just 12%, but it still plays a part in our lives. And in 2023, about £114 billion was withdrawn from cash machines. Well, the government's promised 350 so-called banking hubs by 2029 to make it easier for vulnerable people and those in remote areas to get hold of cash. But will that be enough for those who rely on it? Here's our cost of living correspondent, Kevin Peachy.
There's been a market here in Epsom for centuries.
Super sweet strawberries here today now, look.
This greengrocer's been here for decades, but fewer shoppers paying in cash. Well, that's only been true in recent years.
It's changing all the time. I mean, the youngsters, they don't ever deal with cash, the youngsters. If you see my son trying to count money, he's hopeless. But it's just the way of the world now. They're paying with their phone, paying with their watches. It's just an ease, isn't it?
How have you paid today?
Apple Pay, I think it was, yeah. My girlfriend paid.
So someone else pays,
yeah.
You don't mind how they do
Yeah.
it? Can you remember the last time you used cash?
Can't remember it. It would have been a few weeks ago at least, but it would have been a tip at a restaurant probably, yeah.
I have cash in my purse, and if I don't spend it here, then so many people don't take cash anymore that the only thing I have it really for is things like birthday cards and stuff. So yeah, I prefer, but I want to keep cash alive.
Stallholders here, indeed any shops and services, can accept whichever forms of payment they want. And as more go card only, the government says it has no intention of compelling them by law to accept cash. Members of the Treasury Committee say these rules might be required one day to protect those who rely on notes and coins.
There's not enough information about which businesses are just not accepting cash at all and where that is geographically, etc. That there's a poverty premium for people who rely on this for budgeting and then rely on paying for cash. They have less choice about where they spend their money. And there are groups, like some people with learning disabilities, victims of domestic violence, who rely on cash in a very different way.
So if they don't have cash...
And charities say cash is vital for those fleeing an abusive partner.
Cash is an absolute matter of life and death for victim survivors. Without it, they find themselves monitored daily, every transaction. For example, one victim survivor said that she hid pockets of cash, small amounts of cash around her house so that she had enough to flee her abuser.
The Treasury says new regulation is preserving notes and coins, and these queues for ATMs during this week's power cuts in Spain and Portugal suggest that sometimes cash is still king. Kevin Peachy, BBC News.